Hi there.
Hi there. David, this is the 24th time you said hi there on the air.
For the 24th time,
The
I
24th time.
feel wicked.
Yes. Wrong show, but great intro. I love it. Hi,
Hey,
everybody. I'm Gia, and this is David again.
what's up? What's up?
And we are your hosts and producers of Silhouette's JB podcast, the deepest dive into Jersey Boys one will ever take, both the Tony Award-winning Broadway musical and, of course, the movie directed by Clint Eastwood. And this is actually our season 1 finale. We hate to
Wow.
drop that bomb if you didn't know, but this is our finale, and we will be back in about a
Walk
month. I
like
know.
a man.
There you go. Boom.
Like walking down the stairs. Yes. There we go.
Perfect. We will not be sued for copyright because that's fine. Because it's just da-da-da-da-does. I think we're okay.
Wow.
It's been quite a ride, and we promise we will be back actually on Frankie Valli's birthday on May 3rd. So please stay tuned, and season 2 is going to be great. But we have the best season finale I think we could possibly have. We have Sara Schmidt, who is back to help us round up Women's History Month.
OBC, baby. OBC.
Yes, and so I like to call
Hey,
Sarah.
everybody.
Yay, she's back. She's back. Sarah's back. Sarah, you truly are the Kenan Thompson of Jersey Boys. You were there from the beginning to the end on Broadway.
There to the end, baby. And before
Absolutely.
before Jersey Boys, she was a swing, and she understudied Jaja, Sarah, and Naja in Dance of the Vampires, directed by John Rando. What? The Toxic Avenger, also at Stage 1, New World Stages, Jersey Boys, the Rick. Yeah, so cool. So cool. And the music was composed by Jim Steinman, and a book by David Ives. Incredible team. And David Ives, incredible team. And then after that, she did Brooklyn, the musical. She was a vocalist, and she understudied Faith and Brooklyn. She did it with Eden Espinosa. And then, of course, she was in the original Broadway cast and the closing Broadway cast of Jersey Boys, August Wilson Theater, November 6, 2005. God bless you. January 15th, 2017. She lives out west, and she is killing it.
Yes, in California. So, Sarah,
Thank you, guys. Nice to see you.
Nice to
Great.
see you.
Everything's good.
Yay.
Thank you.
So glad to hear.
We had a little bit of rain today, and I never thought coming from New York that I would ever like rain, but after the fire season this past year, the rain, I love it. Wow. It's so great.
Yeah. Oh, so now you live out west. It's so nice out there, but you lived in New York, but you also grew up in Pennsylvania. So, I mean, so this is a completely different change for you.
It was big. So Jersey Boys closed, and I went back to Philadelphia. So I lived in New York City for 20 years, back to Philadelphia, which is where I grew up, and then kind of couldn't get my footing, and loved it out here. And I performed in Sonoma, like Natalie Gallo did, Sing Theater. And then, I mean, she loves it here. I moved here. So I've been able to see her when she's been out here performing, but I moved to Napa 2.5 years ago.
Oh, it's a Napa of all places too. So what's it like? Like, is it like The Parent Trap? Because that's all I think of when I think of Napa.
Napa is it's a really special place, and it's so crazy because it's farm country. Like when I talked to you guys the other day, I was out in the vineyards like all day, and today it was raining, so I was inside, but it's very agriculture based, but there is such an immense amount of opportunity out here. So everybody's really focused, and it still has that New York City vibe. Like I'm not just like, it's not that slow. I mean, it's very quiet. And of course, like there's nothing like the New York City nightlife. And I took full advantage of that for the 20 years I lived there. But it's quieter in that aspect, but like the people's drive and ambition and motivation is really like intense here, which I guess I thrive on, especially if you're going to start a new career in your 40s, you better do something that has drive and motivation, because it ain't for the faint of heart, kids.
Of course.
Wow.
No, well, kudos. And it's just so
Thank
cool.
you.
You're living your life and you're doing what you want. Like you Broadway and then California. It's like, why not? You're doing exactly
what are you doing right now?
I work for the first year and a half that I was out here, I was slinging hooch. I was a wine educator at a really like high touch, high interaction, like really high stakes winery. It was called The Prisoner. And yeah, it's a piece of art by De Goya, actually, and it's on the label, and it's got this amazing like history story, but who knew that I was not made for hospitality? Like, it is a hard gig. And I would always, and this is so terrible to admit, but I wanted to be like, do you know who I am? Like,
do you know who she is?
I mean, like,
me.
And then like cleaning up their napkins and their spit and their wine, and they're just like kind of, you know, a little bit overserved, not all my fault. And it just was starting to really affect me. And I moved out here to be happy. And so I left that job and I got a job at a place called the Napa Valley Reserve, which is like a huge dream to work there. One of our producers from Jersey Boys is actually a member. His name is Kevin Kinsella.
Wow.
What the members do is they're invited to be a part of this club, and it's like a country club, but instead of play golf, you make wine. And you make wine with the best grapes in Napa Valley. So it's under this family called the Harlan family. And it's just literally you walk in and it's just magical. It's exactly what you'd feel like wine country would be. It's like a little bit casual, but it's very, very, very high end. But everyone's wearing like, you know, I have my little jacket over there. It's like, you know, those little Patagonia zip ups and work boots, but they just happen to be making some of the finest wines in the world. So it's awesome. I'm so lucky. And so my job is the relationships between all of the other wineries and the members. So the members will call me and then I'll try to put them in touch with other wineries so that they can go and experience all that is Napa Valley. So it's been huge. And I got to meet like all the people here, which is why I moved out here. So
yeah, that's so cool. You get to meet new people.
Yeah.
You get to network and connect. And it takes all of the base things that you learn being in the theater industry and meeting people.
1000%.
And you're the go-to person, which makes it more worthwhile. I'm
exactly.
Sure. Yeah, you need that high stake and that responsibility.
And doing that in a completely different industry, it kind of gives you your theater experience kind of gives you an edge.
Well, sure, too. When you're going to these tastings, I don't know if you guys have ever been out here, but everybody has a story. There's a story about the wines. Wine is very, very theatrical. And so when you're telling the story, it's I mean, it was a seamless fit. I was like, I was never like in sales, obviously never in hospitality. I really do commend. I'm a much better. I was always pretty nice to my servers, waiters, waitresses, bartenders, but now I'm like, how do you do it?
Yeah.
It's very fitting that you go from Jersey Boys that mentions wine a lot. Shut up, Nikki. Shut the fuck up and drink your wine.
Yes, and I have to add Napa Valley, Frankie Valley.
Hey, well,
there you go.
I heard Napa changed it from Napa Castelluccio to Napa Valley. That was cut it out. Come on. Oh my God.
Thank you, Joey Gladstone.
Thank you.
Yep.
So you grew up in Philly?
Yes, outside of Philadelphia, about 12 miles. My parents weren't exactly thrilled that I wanted to be an actress. So I kind of my mom started driving me to voice lessons when I was like 13 is kind of when I started getting my momentum. And then I would take acting classes in New York City, and I just always really wanted to be in theater. I loved it. I still love it.
Nice.
When did you have your first professional show?
When I was in high school, there was a program where the seniors would have to go and get a job. It was an internship basically. And most of the people would go work in the middle school or go work for their parents. And my dad told me that I had to get a job in my field. So what is a 17-year-old? How do they get a theater job? I figured it out. I got myself a job in Virginia, living in Pennsylvania, at King's Dominion as Pebbles. So I was singing on stage. So I left high school early, actually. I left probably like in April and drove down to Virginia. My two best friends and I were in the car, and my parents were in the car behind us. And I worked at an amusement park, and I loved it. We could fill an entire hour talking about the crazy stories there. I mean, it was such like strong memories. But I went to Ithaca College after I graduated from high school, and then I went. So I was in Virginia and then went straight up to Ithaca because I missed my orientation and I did it like the first weekend of school.
Oh, okay.
And Ithaca was a pretty intense program at that time. I don't know what they're doing now. Obviously, everything in education has changed so much since I was there, which was a very long time ago. But there was a review system, and then I did a couple more amusement parks. So I guess I did 3 amusement parks. I did Dorney Park, which is up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I did Busch Gardens, and then Kings Dominion. Yeah,
nice.
So fun, you guys. They let you ride the rides after the park is closed. So you're just on a roller coaster and eating all the junk food. It was so fun.
Theme park performing is basically like a whole other Broadway. It's like an underground Broadway across the country. It's crazy because I went to UCF in Orlando, and a lot of my friends were in entertainment at Disney World and Universal, and it's quite the world. I never was a part of it. I wish I was, but it's very interesting
It's very interesting for sure, and there's so many politics involved in it. Oh my goodness!
I know, my God. Well, and there's politics in school too, and I know, Sarah, you have a lot to say about, of course, getting your education, and you're very for that. But some people aren't sure if they should go for their BFA, get a BA, go for their degree at all. So, what are your thoughts on education, and even in today's crazy COVID times?
So, my experience was that my mom made me promise when I was a little kid that I would graduate from college. So, I picked a program. It was between, NYU, and I'd gone to my interview, and my mom had this thing where she would put me in the middle of the campus and say, like, look around and see if you can picture yourself here, find your friends.
Yeah.
So she put me in NYU, and she stuck me in Washington Square Park. And this is like in 1993, which was not the safest place ever.
Right.
And I was like, oh, there are so many drug dealers down here. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready. She was so smart. She did not want me to go to NYU. So she didn't want me there. So the man at NYU suggested Ithaca, and we went up, and there was like the football team was on the field. There's this gorgeous lake. All the leaves had just changed. They were at the height of the, fall. There were just like people playing sports, the theater, and it was just this gorgeous view. And of course, that day I decided, and I went early decision. So went to Ithaca. Yeah. And then I wasn't the best student. I know that I really recommend a BFA program if you're really serious about it, because the connections that you make and the tools that they give you are invaluable. And something that as I said, I promised my mom I would graduate. I ended up leaving college 3 times. I just got jobs, and I would go do it. And then I left at first to do the Fantastics down in the Village. So this is in 1997, and it was around the 40th anniversary. I was there. I was in New York City. I was desperately wanting to get back to college, and I had nodes.
Oh,
so I went back to school. In New York City, I had an amazing voice teacher, Marni Nixon, who was yeah.
Oh, shit. That's sick.
I would go to her every day before my show. She would warm me up for the Fantastics because of those high Ds and those nodes. It was like pretty intense.
Wow.
So I ended up leaving, and she had written a letter suggesting, like, to the program, like, don't let this chick sing. Like, she's not ready. So my school wouldn't let me sing, and so I took all of my acting classes. I tried to take my dance classes, but I'm a terrible tap dancer. And then, of course, I broke my ankle. So, like, I slipped on ice in Ithaca. So, of course, like, how am I going to figure this out? Something that I promised that I really wanted for myself, and why a BFA program was so important to me, was because of the showcase. And so I was able to participate. First of all, I got my voice back by going on a cruise ship, which is a whole nother world of craziness and everything. So when I was back at school, I was able to focus on voice lessons, learning how to sing properly, speech pathology, which was, offered by the program. And at Ithaca, there's an amazing speech pathology program.
Wow.
So I got all in good shape. I've not lost my voice since. It's been 24 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge. And so the showcase was what really helped me. And I met my agent that day, and they're still my agents. So it's just like really incredible and valuable to me.
That's wonderful. Yay. Well, thank you so much for your insight, because a lot of people are just afraid. And I have to say, okay, so Marni Nixon, as in the voice of the stars, as in hello, Natalie Wood in West Side Story, Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady, Deborah Carr, Marilyn Monroe. She was your voice teacher?
Yeah, she was incredible. She had a place on the Upper West Side, and I was probably taking a taxi. I shouldn't have been, but I didn't know that when I was 20 years old, that you're supposed to take the subways everywhere. And I would just go in, and she would warm me up for like 45 minutes, and she would get me above that damage, and so I could get through the show. But it's still, at the end of the day, I was just not ready for New York. And so school really, the acting lessons, the acting classes that I had in school were so vital to like everything. It was like, you know how ballet is the primary form of dance, so everything kind of, you can fall back on dance. The primary lessons that they taught me in those first 2 years of scene study I rely on them still today. I always loved like the moment before, when you're writing all the papers and everything, when you walk into the room, what was the moment before? Those are little tidbits that like always kind of have stuck with me. And just like the studying and the breakdown of a scene, when you're actually reading it and you're doing this outline. One of my professors had an outline for me, and I followed it until Jersey Boys ended. Like it's just like you set up and you know exactly who your character is, so you're never going to get stuck. And of course, doing a show 4,831 times, you can like start to rely on some tricks, but at the end of the day, you kind of want to still go through that emotional process. You want to feel the feelings, go through it. Because if you're, and this is what I also told myself about Jersey Boys, if you're just skating through and you're just like marking it or just like getting by, then what is the point? Then I knew that like, if I started to not like be focused and present, then I was going to have to find another job. There was one trick that I used in Jersey Boys, was that I would pick a person out of the audience and perform the show for that person. So that it was like, and I would think about what their story was. There was lots of times when there was a boy and a girl in a fight, and I would try to like woo them to like cheer them up. Because everyone, when they sit down in an audience, they've just come from work, they've just come from the subway, they've come in the rain, it's cold, it's pouring, they're hungry, they're late. And you sit down and then you have say soiree la as the first moment. And that's not a very appeasing, as it's what they wanted. It surprises people, and they're like, wait a second, I thought I was coming to see like 60s doo-wop. So in that initial say soiree la, I really tried to connect with a person. Like a lot of people don't look into the audience. I really wanted to make that happen. And I would kind of maybe peek before the entrance, because we were right there. I mean, we were right by the fences.
Right.
As in you can see, like, I remember this one couple, and specifically, they were so mad at each other. And I was like, oh, this is going to be, they're not going to have any fun at this party. So I got to fix that. So it was, and it's not like going out of character or anything. It's just trying to give that extra like connection with your audience that, yes, right. Within the confines of what your director has told you. But those are the best parts. Like, and then those people that came in, especially like the women who dragged their husbands to the show, who were of course, at the end of the show, standing up, always thumbs up, like, and like sobbing, right? You can't see my arms, but like they were just, and they're just weeping. And I'm like, I got you. I knew it. So it's so fun. I love our show. Yeah.
Oh, so on your first day on Broadway, what were some of those like those tips that you used to help you just relax and to get ready for your Broadway debut?
So Brill Doors. I mean, the first day we really we didn't workshop Jersey Boys. So I didn't do it until we were in the studio and we rehearsed for 6 weeks. So I mean, I was nervous. We hadn't done it in front of an audience before. I hadn't, and that energy, and there was just so much focus on Jersey Boys at the time, because right before we opened or preview started, there was an article in the Post. It was Michael Riedel wrote it.
Michael Riedel, man.
And he called out the fact that Michael Longoria and I were the 5th and 6th seasons because we were vocal doubling.
That was Bob's and Frankie's idea.
Mm-hmm.
right? For them to do that in the show. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So the stress of like right before opening was pretty intense. We were, as I said, we were just in the studio. A lot of, not a lot. Some directors won't call you for the whole time. Like rehearsals are from 10 to 6 every day. And if I'm not in a scene and I'm not in, the sit down scene for 11 minutes, most or some directors would say, you can stay home, like, go run your errands and then come back in a few hours. But Des had us in every rehearsal for every minute of everything.
Amazing.
So it was amazing and it worked. And like Jennifer was saying, that we would just be in the room with our books. Like we were just there. We were a family. We were tired, but like it was so, like it was such a great bonding experience for all of it. And you knew the other people's stories and the relationships. And so how many times have I watched that sit down scene? So many. It was amazing to watch them. And then like the first like headbang. I mean, it was just, everything was so well done. So specifically, Gia, to your question on opening night, I remember being behind the Brill doors, and it was me and Jennifer. And I mean, you could just feel like it was, we're 20 minutes in, and now that's my moment that actually like I kind of can sit for a second, because all those backstage changes and everything, that's my first moment that I'm not like going from point A to point B or changing my clothes. So that's when I took a breath, and I was like, I started to get so nervous, and I was like, no. And then so when you just feel if my thing is, I like to feel all the points of my, like if I had 4 sides to my feet, if I can feel all the sides to my feet on the ground and just like center and breathe. And it's just like, everybody's human. You're not going to forget your lines. And if you do, they're going to love it, which is crazy. But I've forgotten my lines many times. Right. Yeah, exactly. So that was the moment, and then it quickly passed, and I was like, wait a second, I love doing this. Like that was another thing too, is I love being on stage, and I loved being in Jersey Boys. So to drag anything like negative up there with me was just not worth my time. It was just like, I didn't have space for it. Like I just was reveling in every minute, and then like opening that door and doing my thing. Like I loved it. Loved it.
Aww.
So what was it like when you first heard about the nominations?
We were really neck and neck with Drowsy Chaperone.
Right.
It was not a shoe-in. It was not a sure win, because they split, like they got book and director.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the week itself is like I know I did the Tonys 3 times, I think, or 3 or 4, however many times we did them, I did them. So that week you're recording, you're rehearsing, you're making everything perfect. You're with Sergio. It is like, those are some high stakes. And then when you get there, it's just this energy that was really exciting. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I got all wrapped up in what the week was like.
keep going, whatever comes.
Drowsy Chaperone. So that week it was just like, and we'd had the Michael Riedel articles, and it was just like a very intense time. So we do the performance. I've got like pictures of us still backstage. I know exactly what I was wearing that day. And it was just like when you're staging and everything. And to me, I think one of the things that surprised me the most is how much Radio City felt like the August Wilson, because the set was the same. Like but every show set is exactly the same. It was so wild. We were on stage in my little spot where I had to stand, which was on like the O of the Tonys. I looked down, and they have like those placards that they do for award shows about who's sitting in what seat. Front row, directly in front of me, Oprah Winfrey. I was like, oh, like all these famous people. And then no, I've never met her. Never met her.
Okay.
And then the fact that there are 6,000 people, and when you're on that stage, it's quite tall, like and it's quite bright, like
and deep.
Like it's just like a massive room. And I had been in I've sung in stadiums, and this was just like, it was really special to be at Radio City. It was great. And then we left, we got on the bus, we went back, and the girls and I were getting dressed, and there's a little room where the stage doorman is, and there's a tiny little TV. I mean, smaller than a computer screen. so we would run down, and so that's where we found out that Christian and John Lloyd had won, and it was just like, so there's pictures of us, we're hugging, we're crying. Then the girls and I went to, it was at Hard Rock Cafe.
Fun!
So they bus us, yes.
Yeah.
They bus us. The Tonys are still going on, but somehow we were like the last people at the party. So I know people were trying to find food and there was no table for us. So somehow we like all got collected and we go and they're doing the, you know, best musical. And we like, within a rush, we were trying to get there to not miss it. And Julie Andrews was announcing it, and she said, the best musical award goes to the Jersey Boys.
Oh my God.
And we were like, Jennifer and I were standing there like, is this real? Balloons fell from the ceiling. Everybody's crying. It was so cool.
The fucking suspense. And they definitely
you know what that
did
was?
that on
That
purpose.
was a pre La La Land Moonlight situation.
Yeah, Julie Andrews.
Oh my God.
But it's Julie, and
I know.
it's just so full circle for David and I too, because like I grew up, what Mary Poppins is what got me into everything theater too growing up. So having Julie and then Jersey Boys, that was my first real introduction to like really seeing shows. It's amazing. It's
so really fast to now come circle back. Do you know that Marni Nixon was the voice of the little cartoon ducky birds when Mary is going to see
and Jolly Holiday?
And the penguins?
Yes,
No.
No, I don't think she's a penguin. She's like, aren't they like hens or something? Or I don't know, they're like colorful birds. I don't know. But yes, that's her.
Yeah. Oh my
That's
God. I had
sick.
no idea.
Oh my God.
Thank
Everything.
you.
Wow.
Wow. Come on. See, everything, all these amazing shows really are connected. It's something in, it's a sign.
It's a small town.
It is a small town. But I love that you all went back to the August Wilson, like from the bus, like to change, because it was like you were going back home to watch it. And then you're like, no, I'm a freaking Broadway star. I'm going to the Hard Rock Cafe in Times Square, so I'm going to party. Like it's the perfect balance. I love it.
And some of the actors, I remember Donnie Kerr went back to the Tonys so that he could run on stage and accept the award, which he did. I'm not sure if any other actors did, but I think I was probably all about the wine. I don't want to go back. I just finished. Let's go out.
That's my favorite answer. That's such a real answer. I love it.
I wanted to go back there.
Well, so after the Tonys, what were the crowds like? Was it different? Or people more interested? A different kind of crowd that you weren't expecting?
Well, word kind of got out during previews. So I've only had one person say something almost negative about the show. I mean, like it blew up. And so after the Tonys, it was obviously the biggest ticket. And I remember somebody like came to visit me and wanted a last minute ticket, and he spent $840 on a ticket. And now this is like in 2005. This is 15 years ago. That was like, it would be more now. And now that, you know, Hamilton has come about, people like hear that you spend that much money, but at that time it was wild that somebody spent that much. It was just unbelievable. And it was, the momentum stayed for years and years and years. Like,
well-oiled machine.
It just, and it, as we got older, they obviously started making a lot of changes, and not changes, shift. It was a shift in the energy. The original Jersey Boys was very raw and pretty dark. The flash and the brighter colors of the costumes weren't necessarily there. There were a couple costume changes, but it was like very, very gritty. And then as more different cast members came in and they were trying it out on the road, it became something, in my opinion, that was just like, was a well-oiled machine. It became very slick, seamless. I mean, it was always that way, but there was a grit with those original 4 seasons. And me and Jennifer and Erica we're not your typical Broadway showgirl. Like, we're all very specifically not that. And so it was just different. And then the shift came and the dance became slicker and the moves became more seamless. And it was just awesome to watch. And I'm so glad that I was a part of both. And that we were able to kind of grow with the audience that was getting wiser. You know, it's really interesting. I loved it.
Yeah.
What's always amazing to watch is after Seswarila, when the guys come out, just to hear that round of applause and that cheering every time the mics would fly up and the guys would come out. That's always such an amazing. And then like we put Jersey on the map. Woo! Just all. And I feel like that just never stopped because it's always a point of pride. It was always a point of pride with people who came to the show. It wasn't just a tourist show, you know.
No.
It like a lot of tourists came to see it, you know, especially from around the country who, you know, they had seen the tour and they had seen different productions. They wanted to come check out the, you know, the what do you call it, the flagship, right? But it's really the like Bob Gaudio says, it's those people that really put you over the top.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. So originally they'd wanted 3 million people to see Jersey Boys because that was the tri-state area. So they thought if 3 million people can see it, we are a success. I remember we did a celebration. We brought the woman on stage who got the 1 millionth ticket.
Wow.
I forgot about that. Yeah, we celebrated our 1 millionth audience member.
Wow.
And so at the end, when Jersey Boys closed, 24 million people around the world had seen it. And now there's obviously more.
Holy shit.
I know.
Yeah.
Come on. Amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
That's
6 times more.
I talked to a guy today who was a member at my winery. I can't do that. But I talked to a man today. And he's, you know, we were talking on the phone about wine, and he said, "Now, what's your background?" And I said, "Well, I was an actress on Broadway for 20 years." And he said, "Any shows I would know?" I said, "Jersey Boys." He said, "I saw that twice." I was like, "Well, then we've been in the same room." He's like, "Wow, this is the most interesting story I've heard today." I'm like, "Yeah," because I really don't talk about it. I don't like it's.
You should, Sarah.
I would love to, but I can't be like,
"Hey, I was on Broadway." Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah. That is the name of the episode, I think.
Do you know who I am?
Do you know who she is?
So they're like, no, and no, I don't. Yeah.
Does it come? I mean, is there opportunities where it can come up though, or it just doesn't really come up?
It doesn't come up unless people kind of meet me and they know that I'm not from Napa. I'm not, and I'm not your typical Napa person. Like I'm slightly too friendly, little too theatrical and bubbly. And so people, I kind of like tweak their interest, I guess, or pique it. I don't even know how to say that, but they're like, "Huh, who is this chick?" And they're like, "Where did you come from?" And I'm like, "Broadway."
Do you love being that person, that unexpected person in the room?
I guess so. I never thought I was. I think that might be part of this new me. Like, before I always just, this is terrible to say, and this is very honest, I just always was somebody. And so when you break it down, when you break it down and you take away everything that you were as a kid growing up, I'm gonna get choked up, but it's very difficult to leave that and then try to find a success as another person and not be sad about it. It's been a huge challenge. So I can't really rely on it because I need to get this new phase going. Right. And that's what's starting to happen right now. So I broke down what I was, and I left New York specifically because I didn't really know who I was if I wasn't Sarah from Jersey Boys. And I didn't know how to, in my 40s, try to find all the things that I was looking for, which were, I wanted to get married and I wanted to have kids. And I didn't do that during Jersey Boys because I was having way too much fun. It's like, it was way too great. So I left and went to Philadelphia and then realized that still wasn't my path, and it wasn't fulfilling, and I was kind of doing nothing. And so when I found Napa and thought there's so much opportunity, and if I can just start over here, I know I can make something of myself. But there are days when you're just like, as I said, when I was in hospitality, that I would get like beat up by people who were just like, spilling wine, and they were, you know, it was just not very healthy for me. And I did want to be like, do you know who I am? Like, and my grandmother would not like the way you're talking to me right now, sir. when you leave the person that always was somebody and you go to the person that you drift, and I made so many real changes, like everything. I literally sold everything I owned. I got a job where I was making $18 an hour. Like, I went from this person to this other being who just has been very quietly trying to maneuver my way through Napa Valley and try to make it, and I will, as successful and as special as my career in New York was. So it's a definite change, and I'm enjoying it. I love it. Like, I've found everything I'm looking for. I figured out how to get the job that I wanted and try to, you know, make these connections. And I'm so lucky that sometimes I do miss people clapping for me. It feels really nice.
It does. I hear that. Have you been able to maybe like look for any regional work around there?
I wasn't ready. I was so burnt out from the 20 years. I was really specifically, I didn't want to work nights and weekends.
Yeah.
And so to go into, there's a couple theaters here in town that I've, you know, tried to kind of connect with, but I haven't made those real connections yet. Rather than do regional theater, my dream is to sing in wineries. If you've ever sung a wine cave, you would know the acoustics in a wine cave are like nothing else. So now that COVID is, I can't believe I almost said that. COVID is almost over and they're starting to reopen. I think this is the time for me to make the connections with the piano player and somehow get myself a little 45-minute show together. And then that's how I can perform again. And then I would get to sing in those rooms. And then maybe I would feel a little bit more in touch with that old self. But in the meantime, I'm learning immense amounts of things every single day. So the bandwidth is not really there to then get up and do it like a big rehearsal for a show. But I'm happy to go sing a couple ditties for all my new best friends. That'd be great.
Yes.
How far are you from Ron?
From Ron Melrose?
Yeah.
He lives here?
He's in California somewhere.
I think he's in LA, but
I think he's
okay.
I mean, we talked when we did the video. He would know because we're friends on Facebook and stuff. I don't think we're close. He's got to be like 8 hours away. Can you imagine if he was my musical director?
My God, that would be sick.
Right? What a full circle moment, because you remember that he was the one that said booking the goods.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like
Elbows.
so stern with me.
I think it's we're just gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back. And we're back
with David's gripes.
Yes, we were just talking. I have a gripe. Home by 11. That laugh does not get that line does not get like whenever I go to see it, it doesn't get the laughs that it deserves.
Really?
I really don't get it. Like, especially like, I guess it really all depends on how Officer Petrillo says it. Like, aren't you supposed to be home by 11? You know, I guess it really all depends, but rarely ever when I see the show does that line get a laugh. And also bedtime. That never gets a laugh. It's all in the execution.
Mark Petito.
He did it so well. Yeah. And what I like in the movie, they added this thing for the movie. So they have a close up on Vincent Piazza and John Lloyd. And so, and Vincent whispers to this, to the guy playing Knuckles, "Hey, two guts by the bar, get rid of him." So, and then you see the camera following Knuckles to go to the guy sitting with Mary, and he's like, "All right, fella, bedtime." And then the guy asks him, "Who are you?" And then the guy Knuckles says, "I'm Mother Goose." And then he grabs him by the collar, and so that was just an added thing that I thought was funny. But
so, Sarah, if anyone doesn't know who you are, just say, "I'm Mother Goose," and then they'll fuck off. They'll kindly fuck off.
Awesome. I'm Mother Goose.
We'll get you some glasses. My mom has it. She's like, we call them the Mother Goose glasses. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
We got Sara Schmidt in the Zoom studio tonight, and she's just been dropping the mic, OBC baby. And we're here. The Cast album. I have a very intimate relationship with that Cast album, and it
Don't we
just,
all?
yeah. Oh my God. It's literally, I still love listening to it.
Every
But
day.
every day.
Seriously, every day.
It's
Seriously.
awesome.
And you guys recorded it during previews, right? Or did you record it post La Jolla pre-Broadway?
Post La Jolla pre-Broadway. We recorded it 2 weeks after we started rehearsals. So we started rehearsals August 15th of 2005. Right. We recorded it Labor Day weekend. So September 2nd, I believe. And it was right during Hurricane Katrina. So that's exactly the day.
Ooh.
So it was supposed to be recorded, I think, all in one day. But John Lloyd has 31 songs to sing. So you can't do that to your voice. I think we recorded, I'm pretty sure we recorded Boyfriend's Back at like 6:30 or 7 a.m.
Oh, shit.
And that's obviously, as you know, it's before they lengthened it.
Right.
So that happened in the rehearsal studio. It didn't happen. So Bob Gaudio and Frankie and I guess Ron and Steve Orich wrote the flow of it before I was even anywhere in anyone's vision. So we go to the studio. The band was there. We were all there. So I think we had our own rooms for Boyfriend's Back. So there were 4 of us because they invited Heather Ferguson as well to sing.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Or Heather Pond. Well, she's Pond now. She was Ferguson. Yes.
Right.
So that day, the studio was on the west side, probably in like the high 30s, somewhere all the way over there, like kind of around the bus station, Port Authority. So we were able to kind of come and go during the day, but it was pretty much recorded in 2 days. We went through it first in a little room, and they said, you're not going to sing on this part. You are going to sing on this part. You do vocal double here. You're not doing this. And so they kind of mapped it out. And then we went in and recorded it. I mean, Boyfriend's Back probably took 20 minutes, maybe 15. I mean, they kept us on a very, very, very strict schedule. I know that John Lloyd went back the next day, and then I think because that's so taxing, I think he ended up, I don't know if negotiating is the right word, but being able to not have to finish it in the one day, and then they could have that really solid product. When they were done mixing it and everything, they did have a huge listening party at the recording studio with them all like on the machines, like mixing it up. It was one of the coolest things I've ever been in. It was like the lights were dim. We were allowed to bring a guest, so my mom came, and that was the first time my mom met Des. Yeah. And it was just such a special moment. In terms of like listening to the recording, when you collect for Broadway Cares, I was often collecting, and they would play it at the merchandise table.
Oh my God! So that's I remember when they used to do that.
Yeah.
You just brought it back for me, because they really don't do that anymore at shows where they just don't play the album outside. No.
Oh, it was always, because Bye Bye Baby is so different on the album than it was in the show.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I'd be just sitting there like collecting money, like loving hearing John Lloyd sing that part. It was so amazing. Like
so when you're singing Boyfriend's Back on the recording, though, you're doing that outro, that hey la, hey la, hey la. You do it 3 times. Now, was that specifically for the album, or was that what you guys were doing at the time and then it got changed?
I don't think we were doing it at the time, because we were walking back to the cars. So it must have been the way that it was written. I don't remember them cutting that, but when they added the second verse, maybe they trimmed down that part, because he didn't want it to be too long, but he did want to give us more than a breath to kind of shine. That day, like there was, first it was just the verse, and then it was he went away and you hung around. So they added that, and I was like,
yes. Yeah.
Well. And then
it's so
they added the
dramatic.
second verse. And remember, I told you Jennifer added the jumps at the end. So
Yep.
I remember doing it the first time. It was at 42nd Street Studios, doing the whole thing. It is not easy. You have to be in really good shape. My face was bright purple, and I'm just like staring at myself in the mirror, like, you got to get through this. You got to get through this. You got to like, go. My gosh. Hey, yeah. So fun.
So the triple ending was just on the cast recording.
I believe so. I don't remember specifically that it was cut, because I probably would have been like, oh no, why did he cut it? So I don't recall that. And you're like, oh no, he cut my song. But it also could have been that he added so much on the front, Des. Right. Added so much on the front end of it that he didn't need that lingering, the triple exit kind of thing, the tag.
Well, Sarah, you're also a Grammy winner. Come on.
I mean, I know.
She's a Grammy winner.
Do you know who I am?
So that night was so exciting. Like, seriously, do you know who I am? No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding, everybody. You don't know me, but I'm really, really nice and don't have an ego at all. So that night of the Grammys, I remember where I was sitting. Like, I was sitting at Reposo. It was a little wine bar on 46th Street and 9th Avenue. And I saw that we had won. And I don't think we really had texting then. So I feel like I called John Lloyd. And I left a voicemail on his machine, just being like, like, congratulations. Like, that is a big deal. And then we had a party where they brought the Grammy. And again, my mom was there. She's my best friend. So she came in from Philadelphia. And we got to hold the Grammy. I mean, like, when I think back to what that show gave me, and like all of the football games, and I'm a huge baseball fan, just singing the national anthem at Yankee Stadium,
God,
like it.
That arrangement you guys sing, so good.
It was amazing. I said
good.
yes to every single thing I could possibly. We did the basketball games. We got to go to the new Nets arena. I mean, the Super Bowl, I sang at the Super Bowl. Like, I just like that life was so big and so wonderful. And that's again why I pictured my 40s. Like, how am I going to ever be able to repeat this? Like, it was so magical. The Tonys, all the parties, and just like, we haven't really talked about how special the dressing room was. Like,
yes, let's talk about
it. Those girls are still my closest friends. We talk every day. I'm so connected with everybody who came in that room. There's just it was so special. And I didn't do any Broadway shows after it, but I did them before it. And I never had that feeling in a dressing room or backstage period. Like, our Jersey Boys family was so tight. And I don't know if it's because we were all a little bit older. But there was never like cattiness or fights, or, I mean, there could have been a squibble or squabble or something, that would go on, but we were a family for sure. And you just have this trust when you're with each other, and it's just like, it's so very incredibly special. Like, if anything happens to one of us, we all feel it. Like, it's just a very, very close knit group. I think we have a text message chain with like 24 people on it.
Really?
Oh, wow.
So if it's somebody's birthday, you're like, oh, Jersey Boys. It's called the JB End of Days. It's like people from all different casts, and because people were in and out at the same time. So, but I was able to maintain all those relationships, and it's just like I could call Richard Blake right now and shoot the shit with him, it was just a really special place. I hope that everybody has as good of experience as I did in their next Broadway show. And I have a feeling, because of what's been happening this last year, it's going to be awesome. Those dressing rooms, and like, there was just no toxicity. It was so fun, so fantastic.
Yeah, thank
Truly,
God.
everybody was, right. And that's where I'm working now. I actually talked about this today with two of the people that were there, a woman and my friend, both of them are way my bosses. But I said, this feels like being in a dressing room sometimes. Like, it's just like so fun. And I mean, we're on computers and we're selling wine and, trying to get it all done. But it just feels like it's such that dressing room feeling is such a great feeling. So,
since it's the finale,
okay,
what do you feel like when you hear the like, what's the first thing that goes to your head when you hear that hi-hat?
It's a feeling of pride. Like when you have the luxury, I guess. Like I'm so lucky that they kept me on for all those years. But from the first day to the last day, that was the best part about my day every day. So when I hear that it's just like I just have this swell of pride. Like I was here, like I did it. It was so fun. Every single thing was so special. I mean, I'm sure there were down parts, but I made a promise to myself, like, leave it at the stage door. I had written on my dry erase mirror, or on my mirror in dry erase, like, no complaining. Like, I learned that lesson during the Fantastics, actually. This is a huge lesson for younger actors and people in the theater. Putting on a show is so special, and it's a gift you're giving to the audience. You're giving of yourself for like 3 hours every day, or sometimes it takes you longer in hair and makeup. Think if you're Elphaba, like how much of yourself you're pouring out. And your fellow actors are also giving that same thing. So if you come in to work, and I still try to do this with my job now, you can't go into work and bitch about being at work.
Right.
It's so bad for a company if there's Sarah in the background being like, I would rather be anywhere but here. Like, and just have that attitude that some people can have attitudes when they go to their jobs, whether it be slinging hooch at a very busy winery or in a Broadway show. So I was doing the Fantastics, and as I said, I had nodes. I was young, and I think sometimes people think it's cool to complain. I think I was in that category. I was kind of like, I'd show up like right before half hour. I just wasn't professional, and I didn't have the training, and I wasn't ready to be there. So I walk in, and the old actor at the Sullivan Street Theater. The dressing room was probably the size of my queen size bed, like teeny tiny. And there's only one girl, and I just had this little spot with this like white shower curtain, and she wears all white. And so I walked in, and I think it was a Friday night, and I wanted to be out with my friends, running around New York City in the village, like living life I was probably 21. I turned that summer, so I hopefully was 21. So I go in, and I probably said something like, I can't believe we have to do this show. And the old actor, he sat next to me, and he ripped my curtain open. And he's got that white makeup on, and he had like terrifying, scary old man hair. And he's wearing all white. And and he had like, because when you put white face on, your teeth look like incredibly yellow.
Yes.
And his tongue was all red. And he was like, if you don't want to be here, little girl, there are plenty of other ones that do. And I was like, oh, I was so embarrassed. He was so right. It was like from that moment on, I promised myself I would never complain about work at work. And it's something that I still like hold very dear. It's too hard to bring in. Everybody's trying too hard to bring in something negative. So that feeling of just like, we want to be here. We're doing exactly what we want to be doing. We were doing the best show ever written. It was like easy as a 40-year-old guy or a 30-year-old girl. You didn't have to kick your leg up. You didn't have to do crazy spins. You didn't have to drop on your knees. Like health-wise, you could absolutely do it for 12 years. Like it was just everything about it was perfect, and it was the perfect fit. So to go in and like not want to be there just didn't really fly. And so that's what that feeling was in the building, is that we all wanted to be there. We were all, especially me, I was having the best part of my day every day for those 3 hours. It was so magical. It was awesome.
That's so beautiful. And I know a lot of people, like especially like younger people, they want to complain, but then the second they get to work, they're like, oh, okay, I don't know what was wrong with me. They're like,
right.
Hours ago. Right. Yeah. Like sometimes
you have to just
go back and show up. Just keep showing up, and then the flow is gonna be there. And it's so strange. I don't know why, because I've definitely been that way too. And I don't know why our brains want to do that. Like we want to bring out the negative, like you said.
Self-sabotaging, yeah.
Yes. Why? It makes no sense. But thank you so much for teaching us that, because
who's very good at celebrating herself is Renee Marino.
Yes.
I learned a lot from her. She is the kind of person that doesn't let herself get too down on herself. Like she doesn't go into that hole of, self-deprecation.
Like, just keep proving yourself, show up. And Katie O'Toole mentioned the same thing. And I always say, like, do everything for your younger self. And you did that because you knew that you had no other option. This is what you were doing, and you went out and you did it.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it.
And it was so damn fun. Oh my gosh, you guys. Every single minute. It was so great.
I love it.
It was awesome. Thank you.
I think this is a brilliant place to wrap up. This has been season 1 of Silhouette's JB podcast with our season finale, Sara Schmidt. I mean, 8 months ago, I had just came back to Florida. I was getting ready to graduate online, and I was feeling pretty miserable. And I was driving home, and I drove into my driveway, and I was like, I can't go in the house yet. I have to just sit in the car for a little bit before I go into whatever's waiting for me at home. And I texted Gia, and I don't think we've ever told the story on here. I texted Gia and I said, I want to start a Jersey Boys podcast. I don't know what the fuck it's going to be. I don't know what the fuck it's going to look like, but I know that I want to do it. And I know that I want you to do it with me. And Jersey Boys was the last thing we saw before the pandemic. Us and a few friends went to go see it. We got to go backstage with Aaron DeJesus at New World Stages, got to stand on stage, and
which was unreal.
Unreal. And so that night when I texted her about doing the podcast, we did a 5-hour
sign me up.
we did a 5-hour mind dump and wrote down everything that we knew about the show, everything we knew about the music, the orchestration, Steve Orich's orchestrations, Ron Melrose's arrangements, Jess's costumes, Kara Ziglarova's set design, everything, Dez's direction, Sergio's choreography, all of these wonderful people. And we wrote down who we wanted to talk to. And it's so funny. If you listen to some of our earlier recordings, like talking with different people, we end up, whatever we talked with them about Ron or Richard, we ended up talking to Ron and Richard about. And that just blows my mind. And our first guest, this is a really cool thing. Our first guest was Aaron DeJesus, who opened the New World Stages production as Frankie. And our final guest of season 1 is Sara Schmidt, who opened the Broadway production as Francine and closed the Broadway production as Francine.
Damn right.
Kept signing those 6-month riders, baby. There we go. And guys, this is so special, and we can't wait for you to see what we got planned for season 2. It's super duper cool.
We got a lot.
Say anything.
No,
I'm not going to say anything. You just
stay tuned. May 3rd. Follow us on social media, and you'll find out exactly everything that's going on. So on Instagram, over at Silhouettes JB Podcast _. Yes, of course, the underscore on Instagram, because of Ron.
Ron Melrose's underscore. Exactly.
Yep, Facebook at Silhouettes JB Podcast. Please join our Facebook group, Silhouettes JB Podcast group, and email us, please, silhouettesjbpodcast@gmail.com. We need that email list too. We want to keep you in touch and keep you updated on everything.
DM us your emails. We'll add you to the list, to the group. And follow Sara Schmidt on Instagram. Sara, what's your handle?
Sara Schmidt 623.
Sara Schmidt 623 OBC, baby.
And wish her a happy birthday on June 23rd.
Yes. Happy birthday on June 23rd.
She's a Gemini. I'm an Aquarius. Sarah, we get each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The stars are in alignment. Listen to us on Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It boosts the algorithm and gets our episodes out there. And
one extra thank you. We also have to thank Nicholas Dramard, who was our 3rd guest who we aired on our podcast, because we are actually dog sitting for him and his wife, Nick and Desi, who's
They're
also
in
an
Billings,
amazing
Montana.
Broadway actress as well. Yeah, so they got a gig in Montana. They're doing a Guys and Dolls concert, and you can buy tickets for them too. We'll put the ticket info on our Instagram as well. And if it wasn't for Nick, I wouldn't have a place to record tonight. So this is great. So thank you, Nick, very much. And everyone have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, week, everything. And thank you so much for sticking with us for the past 8 months and helping us really make our dreams come true. And Sarah, I'm not sure if you know this, like I studied journalism and film and theater, and the fact that I can say I have a rundown to interview Sara Schmidt, like seriously one of like an interview I've always wanted to have, and to meet you, and now like we're becoming friends, and this is seriously a dream come true, and we know that this is just leading to other wonderful things, and we're just so thankful for, I'm gonna cry. Like
I know, me too. This has been absolutely so special. Thank you guys for doing your podcast. Nice. I know that it's gonna come, something really special is gonna come because of it. Like it's you guys are smart, you're well done, you care, you're loving, you're kind, and I just think you're gonna go really far. And thank you for inviting me.
Seriously. Of course, anytime. Well, we're already on cloud 9. I don't know how we show up for this either, but we are ready for whatever, universe. So thank you so much. Thank God. Thank you. And does everyone involved in this amazing show. And you know what? After this podcast is done, if you want to rewatch it, there's bootlegs out there. You can find one. So watch the show, watch the movie, watch clips on YouTube, re-listen to some of our episodes, and
watch the show when it comes back. When theater comes back, watch the show. Go to New World Stages, and a salute.
A salute.
So long farewell.